Hey, 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 it is Tiffany, the Budgetnista Alice, and many of you might not know my story of how and why I became the Budgetnista. I wanted to share it with you. It's not all pretty, it's not all ugly either, but it is all me and all true. Kretschmer Daycare is where I learned that I am a teacher. It's my passion, it's what gets me going in the morning, and really what helps me to go to sleep well at night. The one thing I know for sure, I am a teacher. For 7 years, I spent my life here at Kretschmer Daycare. Monday through Friday, I traveled over an hour to come and pour into my kids. I remember it never felt like work to me. I've always known that I wanted to live a life of service, and teaching at Kretschmer Daycare gave me the opportunity to express that desire. Not only was I a teacher to my students, I was a teacher to their parents as well. Once they found out that I knew how to budget and save, something I learned at home, they started asking me questions all the time. I grew up in a household where money was talked about daily. My father was a CFO, a chief financial officer, as well as an accountant. And he and my mom had 5 girls, and they talked to us about money on a daily basis. We would have weekly family meetings where we went over the family's budget. I learned really not to be afraid of money and talking about money growing up because it was a part of our regular conversation. And because I learned about money at home, I started sharing that knowledge with those around me. Having my father as a mentor was invaluable. I didn't even realize how invaluable at that time. People would pay him thousands of dollars to teach them the things that he invested in my sister and I. I was really fortunate. Meanwhile, in my own life, I was using the lessons that I had learned from my father to help me budget and save. My first 2 years of teaching, I made about $39,000 a year, and within 2 years, I had saved about $40,000 in the bank. With the money that I had saved, I had enough for a down payment on my very first home. I bought a condo and I was super excited. Here I was, 26 years old, with a home, a credit score in the 800s. I felt on top of the world. Then one day, one phone call changed everything. The school that I was working for lost its funding during the height of the Great Recession. And 3 days before the new school year was set to begin, we all got a phone call that our school was closed for good. I was devastated. I was angry. I was mad. To make matters worse, I had been a victim of a credit card scam that left me $35,000 in credit card debt. And now I had no income with which to pay that back. I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost my relationship. I lost my home. I lost my savings. I lost my confidence. I didn't even feel like myself anymore. I ended up moving back home with my parents because I could no longer afford my mortgage, and the bank took my home. At my lowest point, I was 30 years old in my middle school bed, staring up at the ceiling in my parents' home thinking, this can't be life. I felt a deep sadness I'd never felt before. I didn't go out, I didn't call my friends, I just stopped trying. I was sad, I was mad, and I was ashamed. Then something happened. It was a pivotal moment in my journey. My best friend Linda called me. I must have been at my breaking point because I broke down crying, and she said, what's wrong? You've been acting so weird lately. And I finally admitted to her, everything was wrong. I owed $35,000 in credit card debt. I lost my home, I lost my job. Me, who was supposed to be so good at money, was now terrible with money. And she started laughing almost. She said, that's it? Girl, I thought there was something much worse than that. I thought you killed somebody the way you've been acting. And she was so chill and so relaxed about it and so just cavalier about it. It made me reflect and change my perspective of where I was. And I thought, well, if she thinks that it's not that big of a deal, then maybe it's not that big of a deal. And then she said these powerful words. You know how to fix your situation, Tiffany. Have you forgotten what your father taught you? You remember you taught me. It's time for you to remember what he taught you. And she was right. I did know how to fix my situation. I had just lost confidence in myself. And with that conversation, I started to change my situation. That pivotal moment also helped me to realize that I didn't want anyone that I knew to go through what I went through. And so I created my company, the Budgetnista, a financial education services firm. My desire to be the Linda in someone else's life motivated me to get back out there and start teaching financial education again. I started volunteering at places that nobody else wanted to go. I started going from Newark housing project to project, meeting with people, teaching them, asking them what they needed, and showing them what they could do to make their financial lives better. I volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club and started teaching kids again, and it felt amazing, especially because I was showing these kids how to manage their money as well. My work in the community caught the attention of the United Way, and with them I had my first paid contract. I wrote a financial curriculum for them and taught it as a financial series throughout the year. Classes were primarily filled with women seeking a better financial life. It was there I realized I found my calling. I just loved how open the women were to learning. I was able to use my 10 years plus worth of teaching experience to make finance fun, to make it relatable, to make it actionable. I had the best time teaching at the United Way. I was being asked to speak so much, I realized, you know what? I want to speak outside of my community. And so I wrote a book, The 1 Week Budget. It was my very first book, and it hit #1 on Amazon, more times than I can count. My first book also brought me press for the first time. Before I knew it, I was on national TV like Good Morning America, The Today Show, PBS, and in major publications like the New York Times, Time Magazine, Essence Magazine, and Forbes. As a result of all of that awesome press, I started receiving emails from women across the country asking for help. Through my social media platforms, they saw that I was putting on classes, and they wondered how could they attend even though they didn't live in New Jersey where most of my classes were held. I leaned into my experience as a teacher and my master's in education and took that series that I'd written for the United Way and converted it into an online resource that I named the Live Richer Challenge. I already knew that I was making a big difference in my community, but I knew if I could take what I was doing and put it online, I could help way more people. And through the Live Richer Challenge, I did just that. The Live Richer Challenge is a free online resource that I created to help you begin reaching your financial goals in about 3 weeks. I started the challenge so I could help women worldwide do what I did, reshape their financial future. The challenges have been so successful that many of you have asked me, now what? You're ready for the next step. You're like, Tiffany, you've taught me how to budget. You've taught me how to save. I'm ready for the next level. And you're right. I know you're ready to invest. I know you're ready to finally get rid of those student loan debts. I know that you're ready to go beyond the basics with your credit. You're ready to travel, and some of you are even ready to start your own businesses, and I'm ready to help you get there. But I realized that a lot of what you need is more than I can provide for you. So you know what I did? I reached out to the smartest people in personal finance that I knew, and I asked if they would teach you their personal financial expertise, and they said yes. As a result, I created the Live Richer Academy.